Thanks, Richard. Top job as always. And yes, the grid is more or less in place now ahead of our second Modified Ford Series race of the weekend. It takes more than a minute or two to get these cars in position because there are more than a few of them. We had 35 cars finish yesterday's race. We're hoping to have 41 of them on the grid for today's race. It was an interesting race actually yesterday. Tommy Field was on pole position by in excess of 3 seconds yesterday, and Jack Gadd, off the top of the head, started on the third or the fourth row of the grid. But Jack came storming through the order and really did give Tommy a run for his money, only to then slow down on the final lap of the race. Something must have been going amiss with Jack Gadd's Mark 1 Ford Escort RSR, and he had to drop back, but still managed to finish in second position. The grid for this race, based again upon the results from yesterday, so it will be Tommy Field and Jack Gadd with their pair of very similar RSR Escort Mark 1s that share row 1, and then a pair of Escort Cosworths with Dave Cockle and an Escort Cosworth and a Sierra Cosworth, I should say, Dave Cockle and Stephen Scotland Woody together on row 2. Then it's Piers Grange and Lloyd Jameson, Mark 2 Escort ahead of Escort Cosworth Maxi on row number 3, and the fourth row for Paul Neville's Mark 2 RS2000, and the V8 Sierra Cosworth of Martin Reynolds, one of the most distinctive cars on a grid full of very distinctive cars. Then it is Dan Minton and Brian Lilly with the Zack Speed Mark 2 Escort of Neil Jessup next, and Todd Garner in his Fiesta ST 180, completing the top dozen. Then row 7, Tyler England and Neil Argrave, Chris Baker, and Rob Lewis in his Focus ST 170 Estate on row 8. Row 9, Stefan Marsh and Mike Thurley in his Mark 1 Zack Speed, and then Malcolm Wise in an Escort Cosworth and an ST 150 of Oliver Bullion, completing the top 20. Except that is a slightly different grid actually to what we've got here, isn't it? Because we've actually got Nick 19th place Oliver Bullion, Jane Hinton, and there's definitely been a change here somewhere, so I'll go off what's on the screen. It is then Nick Watling, 20th, 21st on the grid for Gary Littlewood with Justin Fuller alongside, then Chris Smith and Piers Warwick, 23rd, 24th, then Paul Solomon and Dave Barrett, with Kevin Hadfield and Matthew Brennan, yep, that's correct. Then Mark Hadfield and Mick Head completing the top 30. Then it should be Sean Hadfield ahead of Adam Saint, then Mark Mitchell and Darryl Taplin, with Colin Claxton and Wayne Crabtree on the 18th row of the grid. Row 19 for Paul Restall and, no, not for Paul Restall or Adam Underhill, so it's actually Michael McKenzie and Steve Minton at the back. So missing a few by the looks of it. Paul Restall and Adam Underhill all non-starters. I wonder who else we've lost then from the top end of the grid, because there must have been somebody inside the top 10 or 15 or so that was missing. Anyway, we'll try and figure it out when the race gets underway, but the field making their way around on the green flag lap. There is Rob Lewis, actually not in an estate at the moment, is he? I think that is just a regular old Ford Focus ST170. I have seen that in the estate in the past, I'm sure. But Rob Lewis, a very, very handy racer. He'll be joining us for our coverage of the Silver Lake C1 series later on as well in the pit lane, taking over from Richard John Neal. Have a bit of a change of personnel. Richard will join me in the commentary box, and we'll have Rob down in pit lane. So cars make their way around towards the bomb hole then on the green flag lap, and preparing for a race start. It'll be a 2x2 rolling start for the Modified Ford Series, so the action gets underway very quickly indeed. Tommy Field and Jack Gadd on that front row of the grid. I hope that Jack Gadd's car is at 100% health, because if it is, I think he could really provide a challenge to Tommy Field in this one. He looked actually the quicker of the two in the middle part of yesterday's race, like I said before. He suddenly lost a bit of speed towards the end. So what's going to happen this time around then through Coreham? What a brilliant grid of cars it is. So nice in a time where grid sizes are depleted, to say the least, in some championships. It's so nice to see some of the BRSCC grids looking as strong as they do. I think the smallest grid of cars actually we've had this weekend is probably the Fun Cup at 22, but that is still a very healthy grid indeed. So good to see club racing is alive and kicking within the BRSCC, and the Modified Fords are about to put on a good show for us as they roar across the line. A phenomenal noise they make as they blast past the commentary box and head towards Rich's corner then, with Tommy Field and Jack Gadd on the inside line. And that is, I think, going to remain the order as they round the first corner. Yes, it is. Field still ahead of Gadd, who is already snapping at his heels, though, goes to the outside line into the Wilson hairpin. Third place, Dave Cockle. Stephen Scotton Woody is there in fourth place. Lloyd Jameson going wide to try and get a route past Piers Grange, but I don't think was able to do so. 29 there out wide. Mike Thurley trying to make some progress. He's got Malcolm Wise just ahead of him. Malcolm looks like he's had a slightly better start as the spectator picks the perfect place to stand and watch the racing down at Palmer's just to get their moment in the spotlight. But we can still see the field coming through the left-hander down the hill into the braking zone at Agostini, and a move being attempted there by Martin Reynolds at the inside. Martin not quite able to get through in the V8 Sierra Cosworth. At least not on corner entry, but that car pretty awesome in a straight line. So if he bides his time, he might be able to make a move heading down the Bentley Straight. Well, actually, he's dropped back now into the clutches of one of the Zach Speed cars. That'll be number 83, I think, of Neil Jessup in behind. And actually now going round the outside, Neil Jessup, I think, is going to gain that place. Sliding through Williams. He does go through. But the V8 Sierra might now have the legs on him down the straight. Look at it go. As soon as it opens the taps, it blasts past the Zach Speed Ford Escort, which itself is not a slow car. And the Sierra Cosworth, I think, is going to very easily reclaim that position before the braking zone at Brundle. So back through will go Martin Reynolds in that enormous car that really does make a very distinctive noise as it blasts past us. Through the bomb hole then, up towards Coram Corner. The Escort trying to outmanoeuvre it as it heads towards the long right-hander. And towards the end of another lap, and I think we are going to see another challenge here from Neil Jessup. Look, goes around the outside at Coram, gets the inside for Murray's and makes the move. But we know what's coming now because we're heading out onto the centre straight, and Martin Reynolds is going to have an awful lot more horsepower at his disposal. He pulls to the outside line, they head past the pit lane, and he's already back through by the time they cross the timing line. So this is going to be a bit of a cat and mouse battle, isn't it? In fact, they're not that far behind Paul Neville in his number 33 Mark II Ford Escort, the RS2000 version. So it's going to become a three-way fight, and then the very different Fiesta behind. That's number 620 of Todd Garner, a completely different bit of machinery. Oops, that's Jessup to the outside, but again, not able to quite outmanoeuvre Reynolds at the Wilson hairpin. Reynolds can just settle down here, though. I think he's got the pace to go after Paul Neville in front. Side by side behind, meanwhile, that's the number 16 car at the inside of Chris Baker, battling with, was that Neil Jessup? I think it was, wasn't it? 53 round the outside. I don't know, that's Neil Hargrave, beg your pardon. So they're battling over a place just outside the top 10, and sweeping round the outside will go Neil Hargrave. Nice move made, lots of confidence under braking there into Hamilton, and he picks up the position as they head towards the top end of the circuit once again, out onto the Bentley Straight. And Hargrave now doing his best to try and pull away. Malcolm Wise in behind them as well, the white and yellow Sierra Cosworth. There's the number 29 machine heading through as well as the V8 Cosworth heads for the braking zone. I've just been handed an amended grid for the Modified Ford Series. There we go. So when I've got a bit of time over the lunch break, I'll let you know who it was that we were missing from inside the top 10. But anyway, we definitely have the race leaders who are almost side by side. Tommy Field and Jack Gadd only 0.2 of a second apart. Jack Gadd peeking to the inside line at Rich's corner, not quite able to make that move stick as they slide their way towards Wilson. But this is exactly the kind of battle that I was hoping we would see between these two after a terrific race yesterday. That was, well, it was almost a terrific race, but Jack Gadd, just as he was about to challenge Tommy, his car seemed to hit some sort of problem. And as I say that, he dropped away slightly from Tommy as they head out of Palmer's, their way down towards the Agostini hairpin. Dave Cockle, a bit of a lonely third. Stephen Scotton Woody in fourth position leads in his class. These top three cars, by the way, all running in Super A. So they're all in the same class as the flames spit from the back of the Tommy Field RSR Mark 1 Ford Escort. Super A and Super B cars, remember, are Ford chassis and bodies, but not Ford engined cars. So lots of different engines that can be used in this series. It's a very open set of regulations, and deliberately so that it doesn't restrict you too much. If you've got a Ford-engined car, then you can race in one of the other classes, but if you don't, then you're still more than welcome in the Super A and B categories. They're often the fastest cars on the grid and the more spectacular, but still very much keeping up the appearance of the Blue Oval brand. So Jack Gadd definitely drops back on this lap, at least for the first couple of sectors. Wriggled his way out through the bomb hole, but Tommy Field doing his best here to respond to the threat that was being put onto him. Round Coram, onto the brakes. They flick left into Murray's corner, and it's definitely not going to be a side-by-side battle to the line this time, is it? Jack Gadd sliding his way off through Murray's corner. Heads for the line again. Speed as they blast past us and head towards Rich's corner. Pretty astonishing. Then it's Dave Cockle in third position. Back to this battle that's still raging on. Martin Reynolds tucked up behind Paul Neville. He's fending off Neil Jessup for now, isn't he? Neil Jessup not able to find a way past, although again goes to the outside. Look at this through Gorham Corner. He's tried this move so many times and it's been successful, but then as soon as they get onto the straight, he finds himself under threat again, because we know that Martin Reynolds' car performs better in a straight line than just about anything else out there. It's very heavy and a bit unwieldy through the twisty stuff, but down the straights he's able to make very light work of the Zach Speed Ford Escort. And Martin Reynolds comes back across the line in 8th position, but not able to quite get on terms with Paul Neville's car, which itself is no slouch in a straight line. So two Escorts dicing away with the Sierra. Both Mark II Escorts, although very different in appearance, aren't they? As once again Jessup goes to the outside line. Now he's got a good run off Wilson, but no, can't get to the inside into Palmer's. Reynolds just about clearing the Zach Speed Escort before he hits the brakes, which he has to do a little bit earlier than Jessup. It's the mid-corner speed, isn't it, really, where Jessup has the advantage. Here comes Reynolds, though, with a good run, maybe almost enough to have a go at Paul Neville. So not quite. They head through Agostini up towards Hamilton. And out towards the back end of the track they'll go once again. Colin Claxton, by the way, has retired to the pit lane. He was a retirement yesterday. Rob Lewis as well. Rob Lewis has retired. That's a shame. So Rob Lewis in the pit lane with a problem. Claxton stopped as well. We've also lost the number 79, I believe, of Justin Fuller. And number 13 also retiring to the pit lane. Not sure who 13 is. Maybe that was a non... Oh, sorry, Dave Barrett. Dave Barrett, also a non-starter. Now here comes Martin Reynolds, finally getting the better of Paul Neville. So Martin Reynolds has found a way past Neville down the back straight. But can he stay there? Neville, we know, should be a bit quicker through this next sequence of corners. But very sideways. That was Hargrave, I think, wasn't it? Sliding his way through. Ahead of Todd Garner. Those two actually running in the same class, despite the cars having several decades between them. Malcolm Wise there a little bit slow off Brundle and Nelson. And he has got the number 16 machine of Chris Baker tucked in behind him. Baker himself under pressure, though, from one of the Fiestas, which tries to get to the inside. That will be Tyler England, I think, who is to the inside at Coram, but that then becomes the outside at Murray's corner. Can he go right round the outside? He might be able to do that, actually. Malcolm Wise sort of parks the car in front of them all, and Tyler England does go by. But then Malcolm Wise and the other cars around him, I suspect, will have a little bit more performance in a straight line. That's the line they go again then, towards Rich's corner. Race leader Tommy Field, 1.7 seconds to the good, with 6 minutes still to go in this race. Jack Gadd second, Dave Cockle third, Stephen Scott and Woody fourth, Piers Grange fifth, Lloyd Jameson sixth, Martin Reynolds did stay seventh there. We've got a slow-moving car at the bomb hole. That's Steve Minton, who started from the back anyway. That's a shame. That's one of the prettiest cars on the grid, is Steve Minton's Escort Mark II. But unfortunately, it's touring back into the pit lane. And Palmer's we head down towards Agostini, and now Tyler England having to try and find a way once again up ahead of the number 16 car of Baker. He did get back ahead of him by the line. Baker, though, actually having a bit of a go at Malcolm Wise. Malcolm Wise really seems to be struggling through the corners, doesn't he? But able to carry, again, more speed down the straights. That's what I really enjoy about multi-class racing. They might all be Fords, but such complete differences in performance level. cars all quite evenly matched actually around the lap in this group, but generating their lap time in different ways. Here's the challenge though, the inside line will go Chris Baker, and he does get the place, but Malcolm Wise might have a chance to get him back down the next straight, and that is Jessup. That's Neil Jessup off. That's such a shame. Neil Jessup, who'd been engaged in that brilliant battle we'd been enjoying earlier on with Martin Reynolds and Paul Neville, and unfortunately the Zack Speed Mark II Escort has pulled to the side of the road. A smoky demise for Neil Jessup, and that is such a shame because I was really enjoying that battle that he was having. And means Martin Reynolds now probably let off the hook a little bit because I think he's getting away from Paul Neville slightly. So, unfortunately, we lose Neil Jessup. He was the leader in Class B as well, actually, so that will hand the lead to the number 16 of Chris Baker, who is in this group of cars that was heading through Coram Corner, and this is all getting very messy indeed. So Chris Baker there, the white and blue car, just dipping up the inside of a back marker, now inherits the lead in Class B. The back marker might actually be heading for the pit lane. That's number 821. That is Mark Mitchell. No, not heading for the pit lane, just a little bit off the pace maybe through the final couple of corners. So Mark Mitchell doing his best to stay out of everybody's way there. And comes across the line, staying well off the racing line. Stephen Marsh there, the number 43 Ford Focus, heads through as Baker now tries to fend off Tyler England in the number 54. Now they are actually in the same class, so Tyler England and Chris Baker, number 16 and 54, are both running in Class B, and they're now fighting for the lead in Class B. So this is quite a significant battle now. They're both still getting held up by Malcolm Wise, and that has really given Tyler England a chance now to get a run. The little Fiesta, which doesn't quite have the horsepower of the Escort, but does seem again to be able to outmaneuver it through the twisty stuff. So this is, even though they're in the same class, they're still developing their lap times in very different ways. And the Escort keeping the Fiesta at bay for now, but it's the Escort Cosworth and Malcolm Wise that really is complicating the matters here, because his car, quite clearly not as quick through the corners. It's bottling these two up into each other, but then every time they start to get a chance to overtake him, such as here, he then gets out onto a straight bit and is able to pull away. Baker getting boxed in behind Malcolm Wise there. Now let's compare the straight line performance between the Escort and the Fiesta here. The Escort just starts to stretch its legs, doesn't it? So always very difficult to overtake a car that is going quicker than you in a straight line, because you might well be later on the brakes, but actually you're that far back when you get to the braking zone. All you can do is catch back up to the car ahead rather than actually make an overtake. So you feel that if Tyler England's going to do this, he's going to have to take advantage of a little bobble such as that one maybe, if Baker gets kind of stuck behind Malcolm Wise. And maybe Tyler can carry a bit more momentum and make the move stick. This might be the part of the circuit where he's got the best opportunity then. Through Coram Corner, they're both going to close in on Malcolm Wise through the right-hander. And then they fling it to the left into Murray's. Wise goes to the inside, Baker goes to the outside, and Tyler England tries to get the power down, but the little Fiesta just doesn't have the legs down the straight. So they stay in the same order for now then. A minute and a half to go, but the leaders crossed the line a minute and a half previously, so I think there'll be another lap left for the leaders, which means 2 laps left more than likely for this group. The leaders are about to approach the line to begin their final lap. Tommy Field, I can see out of the window, heading out of the final corner. So the final lap beginning now for the overall race leader. Easy to lose track of where the leader is in a race like this, but Tommy Field goes through. He is comfortably ahead of Jack Gadd now, 5.5 seconds. So Jack, again, not quite able to provide too much of a challenge to Tommy. Here we've got a good battle going on further back. Number 53, Neil Argrave, up the inside, claiming a place against Paul Neville, and that was for second place in class. So Class B plus seeing a significant change as well, not for a class lead, but for second place we've got 2 cars slowing. Well, one of them is the Steve Minton car that's still limping around, but also now joined in the retirement section perhaps by Darrell Taplin. Darrell Taplin pulling off to the side of the road. Stephen Scotton Woody, meanwhile, has got the attentions of Piers Grange. These two just beginning their final lap of the race. This is for 4th position. Stephen Scotton Woody coming under a bit of pressure from Piers. We've gone across the line then. Onto the final lap we are going. And Tommy Field with the race lead. Flames spitting from the back of the number 8 car as he slides his way through Williams then on this, the final lap of the race. A brilliant drive it's been from Tommy. Came under some mid-race pressure from Jack Gadd, but managed to withstand that pressure, and now looks as though he is going to claim a victory. Now, Baker here has got himself ahead of Malcolm Wise, and Tyler England has been overtaken by the number 29 car, hasn't he? Although he's trying to do something about that now as they head through Coram Corner. That's Mike Thurley. So that's separated the Class B leaders, so we can focus instead maybe on this battle for 4th position overall. These are two cars in different classes, Stephen Scotton Woody and Piers Grange, heading for Hamilton. And Stephen Scotton Woody with a very narrow margin over Piers with half a lap to go, but already heading for the checkered flag is Tommy Field. Tommy Field then heading for the line, and it's a second victory of the weekend in the modified Ford series here at Snetterton for Tommy, with Jack Gadd coming home in second position, a fairly distant second in the end, 7 seconds between them. Dave Cockle will be an even more distant third position, and then this is the battle for fourth, heading down the back straight towards Brundle and Nelson then for the last time. Stephen Scotton Woody just about keeping Piers Grange at arm's length. They turn through the left at Brundle, the right at Nelson. That camera angle makes that look a lot easier than it is, that transition from Brundle into Nelson. A very, very difficult sequence of corners, and they're suddenly slowing to a crawl as they head through the bomb hole. Why was that? Is that just because of the slow Mark Mitchell car, or was there a yellow flag that I hadn't spotted? Anyway, they're racing now, definitely, and Piers Grange is going to have one more go at this into Murray's corner. He can't get to the inside because Stephen Scotton Woody has that line covered, so it now will be a drag race to the line, and that's a drag race that I suspect the Sierra Cosworth will be able to win, and yes, it does. So Stephen Scotton Woody comes home in 4th place overall, claims a win in Class A. Piers Grange wins in Class B+, and comes home in 5th place overall. Lloyd Jameson will come home in 6th. That's not Lloyd Jameson, that is Mark Mitchell coming to the line. Lloyd Jameson a little bit further back now, takes the checkered flag. There he goes in the Escort Cosworth Maxi. And then it will be Martin Reynolds, who had a really good battle there, didn't he, with the likes of Paul Neville and Neil Jessup. Neville actually been overtaken by Neil Argrave, hasn't he now? And Neil Argrave, for second place in Class B+, was catching Martin Reynolds, but not able to find a way through. So Reynolds 7th, Argrave 8th, Paul Neville 9th. Eventually, whereas Paul Neville now comes across the line. And then in 10th position will be Todd Garner in the Fiesta ST180, which is just coming off the final corner now. So there will be a few others still to come through behind them, as the modified Fords had spread themselves out across the entire lap of the Snetterton 300 circuit, which is quite an achievement. Here comes the Martini livery car. I haven't mentioned this one very much, but Mick Head, again, one of the best looking cars on a very, very good looking grid. And he will bring that car to the flag, possibly the last car to see the checkered flag. I think he is down in 27th place, but second in Class A, a class that was won by Stephen Scotton Woody, up in 4th position. And that is pretty much it, I think, because in the background, I think we're going to see Tommy Field, heading for the pit lane very shortly to celebrate a second victory of the weekend. Did have a lap time disallowed there right at the end for exceeding track limits, although that won't really matter an awful lot to Tommy. There was one more car to see the checkered flag, one of the Ford Focuses. That was Hinton coming through, Jay Hinton, 503. And with that, everyone has seen the checkered flag, and we can take a little look at the order in which they finished that final race before the lunch break. So, busy afternoon still to come, don't forget, but it's Tommy Field who claims 2 race wins from 2 in the modified Ford series. Jack Gadd coming home in 2nd, with Dave Cockle in 3rd. All of those running in Class Super A. Class A won by Stephen Scotton Woody, Class B Plus by Piers Grange. They were 4th and 5th overall, respectively, with Lloyd Jameson and Martin Reynolds behind. Then Neil Argrave and Paul Neville, with Todd Garner completing the top 10. Chris Baker was the winner in Class B, with Malcolm Wise 12th position behind him. Then Tyler England and Mike Thurley also in Class B. That was actually one of the more competitive classes in the end, between cars running just outside the top 10. Then 15th position Jay Hinton, Oliver Bullion 16th, another couple of Class B cars. Wayne Crabtree was 17th ahead of Nick Watling and Chris Smith, with Piers Warwick even finishing in 20th position. Then it was Paul Soul and Kevin Hadfield. Kevin Hadfield winning in Class C. Matthew Brennan claimed another race victory in Super B. Then it was Sean Hadfield and Mark Hadfield, with Adam Saint and Mick Head in 27th position. Then Mitchell and Stefan Marsh, Darryl Tapman and Neil Jessup now into those that didn't reach the finish, unfortunately, including Stephen Minton, Gary Littlewood, Michael McKenzie, Rob Lewis and Colin Claxton. But despite losing a few to mechanical maladies, it was still a very entertaining race all round, and a well-deserved double race victory in the end for our race winner, Tommy Field, who I won't say never looked like losing, but certainly withstood the pressure well, didn't he? I think it's fair to say, and managed to take home 2 race wins from the 2 races here at Snetterton. And we'll be looking forward to the next rounds of the Modified Ford Series. I actually forget where they're heading next. I think they're at Cadwell Park, aren't they? The Modified Ford. Let's double check that before I give you some duff information. No, there we go. I'm glad I checked. It's Silverstone, the national circuit, for actually their final round. Only one more event of the season, a double header for the Modified Fords, and that will be on the Silverstone National Circuit on the 17th and the 18th of August. So actually not a lot more racing for them, although actually now that's reminded me, I did get a message yesterday from Scott Woodwiss, I think, reminding me that they actually have a couple of extra races. Yes, so they're racing at Ford Power Live at Brands Hatch in September, and then they head to Navarra in Spain in October to finish the season there. So they've got 2 other races not with the BRSCC, but that I'm sure the drivers are really going to be looking forward to. Navarra, a circuit that actually recently, I think it was over last off-season, was it, or maybe the year before, was bought by Jonathan Palmer and Motorsport Vision, who own Snetterton and a handful of other tracks in the United Kingdom. And they now own the Navarra circuit in Spain. It hosted the opening round of the British Superbike Championship actually this year. And so the Modified Ford Series heading over there in October for their final set of races. Hopefully plenty of the drivers will make their way down south for that one. Right then, let's head over once more to hear from some podium finishing drivers alongside Richard John Neal. He's got plenty of time as we head into our lunch break to chat to the drivers. So Richard, over to you.
Well, as you can hear, the glorious sound, it was fantastic when these cars leapt away. I was going to say off the grid, they did the 2x2 rolling start. Dave Cockle's being interviewed by Kieran, so we'll go and have a word with Jake Gadd, who finished P2, being very careful not to pop Johnny into the course of oncoming cars. Jack, are we all right to grab a quick word for the stream? Congratulations, sorry to interrupt your chat. Well done, P2. Problems later on, or all okay?
No, all seems good. We struggled a little bit towards the end there with a bit of power with some high water temps, but other than that, it was good.
Good kit.
Yeah, it is. It's mega fun. It really is. I mean, Tommy's is well prepared as well. We had a great battle out there. I tried to move into turn 1 that probably wasn't on, and it just made us have a little bit of a gap to him and just couldn't make that gap back up. But other than that, all good.
What's the difference between your cars and Tom? I'm not sure whether we covered off specification-wise, but is there a difference between the two?
They're pretty identical, to be honest. They're both the RSR from Sonny Howard, so yeah, pretty much.
Engine-wise?
Both Cosy turbos, I believe. Not entirely sure on Tommy, but
it's lovely that I would never have thought when I was a youngster that we'd be seeing new versions of the Mark 1 Escort, you know, by the time I hit 60. It's a great thing to enjoy and to watch.
Oh, they're fantastic fun to drive. They're really well put together by SHP. Credit goes to them for that.
And race yesterday was okay as well. We didn't get to talk to you after the podium yesterday, but that was a good drive as well.
No, it's same as today, really. Race yesterday, it was battling with Tommy again, and we just couldn't quite pip him. So,
are you one of the drivers going down to Navarro later on in the year?
We will be going to Navarro, yeah.
It's got to be done, hasn't it? What a lovely thing to be able to wrap up the season, and of course it's a series, so there's no pressure for championship points, and everyone just seems to enjoy it.
It just seems like it will be a good way to end the year. Good bit of fun abroad.
Fantastic, well done. Great to see you, Jack. Well, and congratulations. See you again before the end of the season, I hope. Let's see if Dave is there. Let's grab a quick word. It's all interviews now, isn't it, Dave? Circuit and then a little bit of stream, and you've had a very, very good number of outright wins, but a P3 today in the Barn Rouge Trophy. Happy with that?
P3 is really good, given these 2 cars are unbelievable. Yeah, so I'm quite happy with P3. I'll take it.
The machinery we have here, I mean, we did some interviews I think we're going to catch up with in the lunch break. It's just such a wide variety. There's so much one-make racing now. It's wonderful to see this, isn't it?
It is. It's a brilliant series. Fantastic. Paul who runs it, does really, really well. Well, you can see how many cars are here. He does really well for the series. It's fantastic.
Is your car one that you're continuing to develop? Are you always finding new things to put in?
I like to, but I don't know what at the moment.
Oh, really?
It'd be nice. Yeah, it'd be nice to do something to get closer to these. But yeah, I think it's a massive task to catch up with these.
And the question I asked Jack, are you going down to Navarro?
Yes. As long as everything goes well at next race, yeah, I'm going to Navarro.
Where's the next round?
Silverstone.
Silverstone. Again, you get some great tracks, don't you? I mean, who else is going to get down there as well?
Yeah, exactly. He does really well in finding a nice, you know, European, whatever, abroad track for us to race at. I just wish more people would take him up on his efforts.
He said he got 30 odd going down there, so that's not too shabby.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I mean, Spa last year there were 8 to do, and I think about 24 turned up. So, yeah.
I said to Paul earlier on when we had the stream yesterday that the first person to comment, and most of the comments were on the Modified Ford Series yesterday on our YouTube feed, and the first guy to comment was from Germany.
Oh, brilliant. That's fantastic. See, we're worldwide. Yeah.
So thanks wherever you're watching, we appreciate that. Dave, good to see you. Well done on all the wins that you've had this year. We'll catch up with you a little bit later on. And thank you to Tommy Field for coming and finding us as well. Well done, Tommy. And we'll do a quick handshake. Congratulations. Yeah, Dave was just saying they can't live with you boys in the RSRs.
No, it's come to light. We've been working a little bit over the last couple of weeks from Silverstone. We'd put a silencer in for Silverstone for the exhaust, which absolutely killed it. So working away with that, so we found some performance back in the engine, done a little bit of setup change. And to be fair, I love this track, and it's come to life. So
you and Jack running the same spec?
No, different. Yeah, totally different. We're a 1900 BDT, Jack's a YB, so a bit different. And obviously, chassis is very similar. I think Jack's got paddle shift. We've just got an old-fashioned sequential now. But no, it's good. We've enjoyed it, but it's just very, very hot in there.
Yeah, it must have been worse yesterday. We didn't get to talk to you. Apologies yesterday. We didn't get to talk to you after the win. So double win.
Yeah, we had a bit of an issue yesterday with the breather system. So halfway through the race, it put a lot of oil on the screen. So I sort of backed off, and obviously it was hard to see where we was going. So I wasn't pushing as hard yesterday. So to be honest, it was worse for me today, to be honest. But yeah, just like to get out of these and get some shorts on.
We can get home now, can't you?
Yes, not so far away.
So double win. First outright wins of the year?
Yes, he was, yeah.
Congratulations, and a double, so you don't get much better than that, does it?
Exactly. Thanks very much.
So well done, Tommy. Thanks for having a chat with us. Congratulations. See you next time out. Tommy Field. Let's see if we can grab some of our other class winners as well. Stephen Scott Dunwoody may have departed the car, so we'll see if we can head down that way. Because we've got a bit of a time because we're into lunch break. We've got a few things for you to watch coming up in the lunch break, incidentally, as well. We were out and about filming. Stephen's in the 45 car down here. And looks like he's looking around the cars because most of the drivers like to check things like tyre pressures after the race to see how they're behaving and how they did. And some of them will make notes. Stephen? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Class win.
Yep.
Happy with that? Talk us through the race.
Well, Piers is on me yet again. I think that's 5 races on a row now. We've been battling with each other. His car carries a lot more corner speed than mine, but I can sort of run away a little bit down by the straights. But about 2/3 of the way through, we lost the back tyres and it got a little bit interesting near the end. But I was glad to see the checker flag to come out. But yeah, brilliant racing yet again with modified Fords. Really enjoying it.
Multi-class winner this year.
Oh, absolutely. I love it. Absolutely loving the racing at the moment.
I think Lindsay's shouting to get you on the podium, so we get you. Stephen, thanks for having a chat with us. Appreciate it. Well done, and enjoy the spoils of victory. Class victory. Stephen Scott Dunwoody. We are, as you heard, Lindsay calling the others because much as we'd like to go through all 5 classes, we don't really get a chance to, as they've got podiums to do and on-track activities coming up as well. We're going to take a very short break. In fact, tell you what, no, even better than that, we're going to hand you back to Andy McEwen in the comms box, and we're going to tee up some chat for you in the pit lane as we look forward to the C1s later.